Lovely.
शिवेश 7 बजे स्टार्ट हो जाएगा ना? लाइव चैट अच्छा यूट्यूब का ना? हाँ तो मैं इसी में खोल लेता हूँ ना स्प्लिट स्क्रीन। मेरे को वो यूट्यूब लाइव स्ट्रीम का एक बार व्हाट्सएप पे लिंक भेज दो। So, hi guys, I'm Pratham Modi, and I'm the president of the club Mandala from SMIT, and it's a club that is more focused towards electronic music production and DJing in particular. So today we have Eshaan Arora, and he's a good friend of mine, and also he's an amazing artist. He produces electronic music in particular genres, which includes trap, bass, and also a lot of Mumba songs. So he has performed in a lot of various big events, some of which include VH1 Supersonic and also Sunburn. So Ishan Arora, welcome to KALAKSHETRA. That's my story, and we are really excited to have you here. And I did introduce you in short because I think this interview is mostly about knowing you, and I'm pretty sure you'll do that better than I will. So I don't want to steal any opportunity over there. So, guys, we have Ishan here. Ishan, I'm afraid I think you're not audible.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, now you're audible.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for having me, man. It's been great. Listening to all the mixtapes was great. I mean, there are very talented people in SMIT. That's what I've seen. Also, I've been looking at all the other live streams and really talented people. Yeah, kudos to them.
So, I mean, at first, when I was asked to look for a judge for Kalakshetra mixtape, I mean,
Yeah,
really, I kind of got nervous at first because I happened to know no one, and then in the top of my mind, your name just popped up. I was like, Ishan is like the perfect judge I can have. He's experienced in the field for on-stage performance, and he even does music production, and like
yeah, correct.
you are experienced. You have got so many opportunities in life to expose your music out there. So it's like that is what a lot of room producers, especially like me
True,
myself, we
true,
lack
true.
that opportunity. So I thought it would be great to have you share your opinions, your points on how to make music, also get it out there. So firstly,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Continue, continue. What you were saying?
No, yeah. So firstly, I just wanted to know, like, how you got into this music, like, why and how.
So, I started music in 2018. Like, I got interested when I was watching Martin Garrix's vlogs. Okay, so he has this whole series. Okay, Martin Garrix videos, Martin Garrix show. So I was watching that one day. Like, I stumbled upon it, and I just don't know, man. It just clicked. I was always interested in music. Like I knew how to play guitar and all, but electronic music was something that was, you know, very different, and I didn't know anything about it. So just watching that vlog, that lifestyle, mainly that lifestyle is what caught my eye, and I was like, man, I want to be a DJ now. That is what I want to do. That is what it is now for me. So yeah, that is how it started. And then 2018, after our boards, I just told my parents that I want to do it. So then I just started working with the teacher. So I was like interning with him. I was trying to learn a lot of things, but then something happened. Like there's a lot of if you are unknown, then you really do not get opportunities. At least in the Indian scene, like you have to have a
Yeah.
base before grabbing opportunities. So first thing is like you have to approach people. So sometimes it's like you approach few people and there's no result to it. So you have to be consistent with the process of approaching people unless and until you have a base. So that is what I did. I approached few people and then there was no result out of it. So I was like, it's not gonna go good for me from here on. I don't know, man. Just somehow it just clicked. I was like, I just want to be a DJ. Doesn't matter how long it takes. I just want to do it, and that is how it happened. And then, sometimes opportunities also strike when the universe sees that you're really striving for something. Opportunities also strike. So that is what happened with me. So I got in connection with the event company, and like from a friend of a friend. So that is how the whole connection was made, mutuals to mutuals. And then I just landed a gig with one of the really good DJs in the scene, GURBAX. So my first gig was with a good artist. So I'm lucky enough to have that opportunity, because that was like a jump start for me.
Yeah,
Most of
that's
the people do
actually
not
good.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like being a freelance DJ without like I had experience, but I wasn't a resident in any of the clubs. So being a freelance DJ without a background, and if you are a producer and you have songs out there, you have a base with you. But if you are solely a DJ, it doesn't really matter if people do not really know you or they haven't seen you in the scene. So that is what it is. So yeah, just keep approaching, man. The more your circle improves, the more your network base improves, the more opportunities you get.
So to sum it up, what I learned from this is basically if you want to be in this field, if you want to get ahead, socializing is one of the most important factors, and socializing with the right people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Socializing with the right people and being humble about it. So if you expect a lot and you have nothing to show for it, obviously the person in front of you wouldn't be interested. So you have to be humble with the process. You have to give it time and you have to prepare, so that once the opportunity strikes, you have to be prepared for it. Right? If you do not have the right tracks, if you do not have the whole set prepared when you go and when you go out there and you have to play, if you haven't done your homework, then it wouldn't click anyway. So you have to be prepared and you have to be humble with the process. And yeah, meeting the right people, connecting with the right people. That's what it is. That is what is in every other field. Yeah.
I mean, I personally can totally relate with what you said because me myself, like I out of
Hmm.
24 hours, you can say like what 4 5 hours I'm just sitting at night and producing, and I know that maybe it's not going to be a hit, and the intention is never when you're making a track. I believe like for DJs, yes, I have DJed only like twice or thrice in my life. That's only in my college, and like I just felt like in the beginning for me it was like uh, I need to DJ and you'll get famous, you'll get money. But the moment I performed in
Yeah.
front of people for the first time, that adrenaline which you get, you're like, okay, this is
100%.
priceless. You can't put a price tag over this experience. Like, it's
Oh
like
God.
I'm a free, maybe I'll play it for free, and I mean that moment particularly hits you hard, and especially when you're
That's
doing it for
true.
the first time. But it's true that music industry is so competitive right now, right? So a lot of people do struggle, and contacts is the main thing, like you said.
It's not
So,
competitive because you know what the scene is. It's like there is space for everybody. This is a very wrong notion that people have in their minds, that it's a very competitive industry. Every field is competitive, but there is
right.
space for everybody. It's not like if you aren't good, you won't get the opportunity. It's just that how much work you put into something, and you'll reap the benefits anyway. So it's just about how much hours of work and how dedicated you are to it. That's it. Don't think about you won't get the opportunity, won't get the chance. It's all there, man.
Yeah,
It's all there. It's waiting for you. Just be ready when
yeah.
it comes.
So next, I want to ask you.
Yeah.
I mean, judging. I mean, looking at this Kalakshetra event.
Yeah.
So I mean, you already have heard about it, like what it's about, multiple events, and especially it's online. And this is the second
Yeah.
edition. The first edition was online also. So, and it has grown, like if I give you the stats, it has grown like double or triple from its stats it was last year. So like we have got thousands of subscribers within a week. We have got lakhs of impressions and thousands of views within just 5 or 6 days. And having you as a judge over one of the events mixtape, how do you
Yeah.
feel about such an event, and how do you feel like these kind of events, what kind of like what scope would they have? Like, is it going to be good for people in what way? And like, even if you have any thoughts over it.
See, for the time being, having an online event was the best option for everybody. Keeping safety in mind and also keeping the interaction ongoing. Online events is what was the best thing for us. But as you said, like there's an intimacy when it's offline. When you see
Mhm.
people, when you have that connection, that intimacy, it's a different vibe entirely. But at the same time, technology is advancing so much, man. Like 2018, 2019, nobody thought that we'll be watching virtual shows, or having you know events like college events would be online with so much crowd, so much people's interaction with each other and preparing for it from their homes. it's a very different vibe, and it's been working. It's been working really good for a lot of people. Even Kalakshetra was a success, and this is the second edition. That just proves that it's a good initiative. So it does have future, but I think so unless and until this once the COVID thing, the pandemic thing gets sorted out again, it'll be more fun if it's offline, because these are
Yeah,
cultural events. Yeah, these are cultural events. So you
yeah,
have to
yeah, yeah.
represent it. You can't be at home and
I mean,
represent it. You have to be out there.
last year when we had Kalakshetra for the first time, we were like, okay, next year college will open, we are going to have it offline. But then,
Yeah,
well, it's unfortunate that
it's all
I
good,
mean,
man. It's all
we
good.
are so now
Lucky
again.
enough, that we are, bro, we are so safe at our own houses and enjoying these things. So we are lucky enough to, at least be
True.
privileged enough to be, enjoying
Yes,
these things
that's
rather
true.
than being in the hospital. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, Kalakshetra has got a lot. I mean, this time Kalakshetra was nationwide, and we have got more than 65 colleges participating in
Wow,
this event. And also, we have got some participants from outside the country as well. And
wow,
I've seen some of their performances, and it was just shocking. I mean, it was beautiful. So, coming talking about the participants, you have obviously heard the participant submission from mixtape. And
yeah.
what do you feel the overall like view on the submissions? Like, I mean, you don't have to be specific about the name right now because we'll be declaring the results
Yeah, yeah,
later.
yeah.
You can just say about like participant number one, something
So
like that. I mean, not the number. Yeah.
I'll be very honest here, because I'll support. Well, first I'll critique the performances of the whole mixtape thing. One thing I noticed in all the tracks was they were way too focused on building the track, building the hype for it, but the structures were lacking a bit. So when it comes to a track, right, there are three components to it: the structure, okay, the mix down, and the originality. That is it.
Mhm.
So the structure, you have to be very attentive on where the elements have to come, the bars, 8 by 8 bar, and all those things, those technicalities. You need to be thorough with it once you are making those tracks, because that is how you will improve. Once you know the basics, you will improve, and those basics are going to be handy whatever you do. Even if you are a DJ, for instance, even if you do not produce music, you're just a DJ, you still need to have the knowledge of how the bars work, how to, link tracks together, how to mix tracks together. Those things need to be very clear with you. And apart from that, everybody did a fantastic job. I mean, I just know this thing that, you know people even in Pune, where things are so accessible to them, okay, productions, and there are so many producers out here, still they lag behind a lot when it comes to all these things. you know Preparing a track is a difficult job, and being a producer is far more difficult. Because you have to handle all the things. If you are a singer,
Yeah.
you just need to sing in the best possible way. But once you are a composer or producer, you have to, deal with the vocals. You have to deal with all the other instruments, all the other components, and jot them down into a single track, and that should sound perfect. So it's a very difficult job, and everybody did a very, very, very fantastic job. So kudos to them. I like the tracks. I like the tracks. I even sent a track to you just to explain the structure ka thing.
Okay, great. We can have that track.
Yeah, yeah. Please,
Can
please play it.
we? Yeah, yeah.
So the same song, I remixed the same song just to give these guys a good idea on what I am talking about.
Mhm. So, Shibesh, can we have that track?
Before I love you,
It's a wave file, so it might take some time to load.
before I love you, now.
Shibesh, it was audible. Do one thing. You can just download it, and we'll just continue on with the interview, and we'll play the track in the end. So, and then we can discuss over the track to save time.
Lovely.
Yeah, Shivesh, you can just keep it downloaded, and we'll play it in the end. So that was for the participants who were watching. That's the review you have got, and honestly, whatever he said was totally right. The structure is really important because that is what it's, like when you're building a, basically when you're building a building, so you can't have a structure which is, like what do you say, not in
Lacks the
uniformity.
foundation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You need to
lacks the
have it
foundation.
properly structured so that,
Plus, what happens is once the thing is once you are clear with what you are making, right? You get more inspirations. You have more versatility onto what you want to make that track into. How you want to build that track. So the ideas keep on popping because what happens is you get blocks. Okay, those artist blocks. You get a lot of them once you do not know where to lead the track. Okay, like where what elements to put in. The melodies
yeah,
doesn't strike you sometimes, and then you just get frustrated with what you're doing. So from the very beginning, if you are because this is a lot of things that even we used to do, yeah, in the beginning, like we were so fixated on completing the track,
and, yeah,
putting the elements and then doing the mix downs later on, fixing those things later on, and then at the end of
Before
it,
I love
even the
you,
track didn't
na
sound
na
good.
na,
And
I'm gonna
it was,
leave you.
for me it was always a guilty thing that I didn't do the best thing. I should have paid more attention to the details
mhm.
while I was doing it. So that is what it is. You learn from the basics, man, and basics are very important whatever
That's
you do.
totally true. And
Yeah.
a lot of times, even when I make tracks, for example, if I'm working on some instrument, making the sound of that instrument, and sometimes I by mistake, like mistakenly, I tweak some incorrect knobs here and there, and I'm like, oh shit, I screwed it. And but when
Yeah.
I put it into the track, it sounds beautiful. So sometimes that mistake kind of makes your track beautiful. And
True.
people,
True.
and people say that, what is the, like, are there any rules, like you need to fix this here, you fix that there. I just tell people one thing, that there's no rule in music making.
True.
And I never used to understand that, in when those interviews of Martin Garrix, like you said, Martin Garrix said that animals was just an experiment, and I used to be like, how can it be an experiment? And today I can relate with it. All my tracks are experiments.
True.
So
That's so
moving
true,
on,
man.
I have one question here from the chat earlier. Do you have any tips for live performance or DJing for a beginner?
DJing for a beginner, yeah. So first thing is, this is what happened to me. Okay, the first time I was playing, it was a friend's gig. So I had a gig already, and just but I didn't perform before it. So this was, I just approached a friend and I was like, man, can you just let me play, like let me open for you the first, before even the party started, just let me open so that I get some confidence, and then
Mm.
when my gig comes, I'll have some experience in my head. Because
Yeah.
when I was practicing, we had older CDJs, the CDJs 1000. That is what I used to practice on, and these were new technology. So I just wanted some background into it. So that is what I asked him, and what happened was, as soon as the crowd started coming in, right? They dragged me out of the stage. Not even 5 minutes, man. I was kicked out of the stage within 5 minutes. So the very first thing is, right, your first gig might be the best gig and the first gig might not be the best gig.
Mhm.
Okay, so don't be um, sad about it if it happens with you, because I played at Sunburn as well, so it really works out. And second thing is,
Yeah, that's true.
be very thorough with the tracks. Okay, be very thorough with what you are playing out there. So your genres. Okay, so when you're playing tracks, it depends upon the BPM. BPM is beats per minute. So all the tracks have a BPM, and you have to go in a ascending order. So 70 BPM, then the 80 BPM line, 90 BPM, 100 BPM, 150 BPM. That is how you go. So you have to go in that ascending order, and all your tracks should be very genre specific. You can't play a mellow track and then play a hard trap, hybrid trap track. So you have to have a very genre specific set in general. And when you're playing it, you have to be very vigilant upon how the audience is reacting to those tracks. Because if you can't see what is happening out there and you're just playing out there, it doesn't really make sense, because you're not playing for yourself. You have to vibe with the audience and you have to break their bubble. You have to get them involved in the party. So be very thorough with your tracks and prepare those sets. Spend hours into it. Make a very good set, and when you are really, when you are really confident about it, start playing. Literally, don't overthink it. Just start playing. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, you have experience. But just go out there, man. Don't wait a lot. That is what it is. Because you overthink a lot when it comes to music.
That's that. I mean,
So,
it's. I think people do get nervous, before getting on stage, whether people will like your set or not, whether
yeah,
they know the tracks that you're going to play, because people most oftenly like connect or relate with tracks they've already heard, or they have in the playlist on their phones or something. So that is what people get nervous about. So
yeah.
that's that. Even I had performed in my college, and it was first time I had performed in my college only, and I did not know how to DJ. So it was my first time having that turntable, and I was really nervous, before getting on stage. And once I got on stage and once I played the first track, it was one of Martin Garrix's tracks, I'm sure, yeah. And people just
Wow.
started going crazy. And after that, I was like, okay, fine. Now, if I make mistakes, also it's okay, which I did while playing, but somehow it got covered up, but luckily. And people don't know if that was a mistake, but yeah. And people kind of thought that was a mix, something I had planned already, and it turned out
Wow.
well. So so it's like I said,
Lucky.
mistakes for me, mistakes have already worked out. I don't know how, be it production or
Wow.
DJing. So yeah, like you said, you learn from your mistakes, and like it kind of if you don't make a mistake, you don't know what you're doing wrong or right, which is to like there's no
True.
point of doing anything unless you're learning from it.
100%.
So we have one more question: how to plan on the tracks to play on stage, like how to connect with the audience, basically, like how do you know which genre or how the vibe is going to be, because audience can be of, like, they might have different genres of selections for themselves. So
First is your timing. Honestly, this is very important because not a lot of DJs realize this thing, that your timing, like your set time is very important. Because if you start banging tracks like, if you're banging dubstep at 6 p.m., it's not worth it because nobody is in that mood. But if your set is at like 10 p.m., 11 p.m., or it's an after party, that time you bang it, everybody is already in that mood. So your time slots, that also brings a lot of change to your set. Second is, if you're shortlisting which tracks to pick, imagine this: you are at a party. Obviously you will vibe to the tracks that you vibe to, right? The things that you've already heard, the things that are known to you, or the things that are like a ear candy to you. So pick things that you will vibe to first. And then once you are at a party, obviously nobody's gonna dance in the first minute. So figure out a particular group. This is what I do as well. Figure out a particular group. Figure out a particular guy who is already in the party. Okay, he doesn't really care what is happening out there. Just focus on him because he's already comfortable in his surroundings. And when you are on the console, when you are playing, focus on that guy. And when you get confident yourself, then focus on everybody else, because then you will be the guy who is enjoying the party and people try to be in your comfort zone. So select tracks that you will vibe to, and be very mentally prepared on which time slot and where to decide those tracks, and lay those tracks in. And
true.
obviously be prepared for all the tracks, because sometimes what happens is you play the 6 p.m. track, 6 p.m. you have a slot, and then radically you have 11 p.m. slot as well. Because the people liked it, you also get booked for 11 p.m. Happens with me. So be prepared with all the things.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that did answer the question properly. And like you said, you have to be prepared for, any changes in your set, or
Yeah, because
like
sets
changes
get
can,
delayed.
yeah.
Yeah, sets get delayed. Your maybe you have to end earlier, so you have
Mm.
to if like if they promised you an hour, okay, but because of some technical issues you have to sum your set in 45 minutes. So you even need to be very thorough with which tracks that will obviously bang in that crowd, right? So you need to be very thorough with what you're playing, because
And I believe
it
it's, yeah.
yeah.
So please go.
Yeah, so it's like I was just saying that it's very volatile. So
Hmm.
those these are very experimental things. These are very out there things. So that's what it is, man. Just do your homework out there and be very confident. Be very confident. It's all gonna work out for you.
So that is what had happened. Like I can relate to this in my second year when I went for DJing for the second time. So I learned from my first year performance that okay, there were people responding to the track, but in the crowd at the backside there were a bunch of people who weren't that much into it because I was playing
Yeah.
one single genre, right? It was just progressive house and EDM progressive house. So I was like, okay, maybe next time I need to bring in some variance into it. So the next time I went to DJ, people weren't really in that mood. So I just started with "We Will Rock You's" original version, like the starting beat, drum, dum, dum, chat, that thing. So
Yeah, yeah,
people,
yeah, yeah.
everyone responds to that. Like in our generation, everyone knows that track. And people were
Correct.
like, okay, we know this track. They got into the mood. And then I just blended that within, like drop coming up. And it just went to a drop, psychedelic drop. And then I could still see some people are still not in the mood, and I saw some people who are from South India. So what I did, I got
Hmm.
Kolaveri into it, and they started
Yeah.
dancing. And then there were some people who listened to Hindi music. Then I got Barso by Ritus into it. So it's like, and everything was EDM-ish. So people were like, okay, I can relate to this, but also it's dance music. So uh, I think that's true that you got to know your audience. I mean,
Correct.
that doing your homework is important.
It's really
So,
important.
and we have also got some more questions. How can we play with vocals and how can we play with vocals and instruments while producing? I think they're asking about. I'm not clearly understanding how can we play with vocals and instruments while producing. So I think they're trying to talk about how to use vocals in a way of instrument. I think
While producing,
vocal chops, I guess. How can we play
vocal
with vocals
processing,
and
or
instruments while producing?
okay, so you want to know more about how you can mix and produce on vocals, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Use vocals as
Yeah,
instruments.
I think they're
There are a lot
talking
of
something like nuclear or something maybe.
acha, acha, acha. Nuclear is a different guy, man. Nuclear, what he uses a lot of different things. Okay, so there is fomenting, there is pitch bends, there are a lot of technical things.
Hmm.
There are a lot of YouTube videos out there. Okay, if you really want to learn, you have literally everything out there on YouTube.
Yeah,
So
that's
if you there are literally tutorials on how to nuclear. So you just have to type how to nuclear, you know how to demo Mahapatra. That's also out there.
I hope that happens
How
someday.
how to replace, it's all out there. So if you want to learn anything, it's all there on YouTube. But
Yeah,
if you want to learn how I work with my vocals, so you'll hear it. I'm working on my album. It's going
yeah.
to be out there soon. So you'll hear it.
All the best for that.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
And yeah, so guys, Ishan is having his album releasing sometime. He has not decided the date yet, and neither
No,
have
no,
I.
it's so we are focusing on completing the album by November. So
Okay.
November to December May, it'll get distributed and mixed and mastered. So by end of this year, we are focusing in December that it should be out there. It should be
Okay, guys. So
out
you
there on all platforms.
basically you guys are going to have an amazing New Year. So
Thank you so much, man.
so be prepared for that. Keep your Spotify and all those streaming platforms ready. Pre-save his tracks. I've heard, I mean, he makes a lot of tracks and he releases the one he connects with the most and he feels is something that people deserve to, listen to. And
Yeah.
I disagree with him on that because you all deserve to listen to every track of his because it's so good. But
Thank you so much, man.
so yeah, you should definitely check him out on Spotify and stuff. It's there on his Instagram, I believe. The link is there.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So coming to that, I had one question myself.
Yeah.
When you're mixing, I mean, people, almost. I mean, this is a question actually that people ask me, and I answer them in my own way, but I don't know if I'm answering them right. But that's why I'm asking you. When you're mixing, what do you
Yeah.
think is the key to mixing? I mean, I know it's a very vast topic to discuss. Like mixing is one big headache. But what do you think you should focus on most while you're mixing? Because when I'm mixing, I keep listening to my track like hundred of times. 100 is a small number. I think I listen to it more than 100 times, and your your ears kind of get set to your own music, and then you don't know if the mix is right or not, and it's a headache. I mean,
Correct.
you can relate to it. So how do you think how you get that mixing part and everything right? How do you know when your track is mixed well?
I feel like while I'm making tracks, right? So mixing, it is obviously, it's like a fundamental that you make the track and then you mix it at the end, right?
Mm.
So that is actually the right approach to it. But I work with it very differently. So I, keep all the tracks. So I have a template on my mixer, vocals differently, the beats differently, the instruments differently, FXs differently,
Mhm.
all the things. And there are automation clips as well, sidechain clips as well, all of the things. I have a very segregated mixer channel. And while I'm making music, sometimes it's like so two things that I do is, I do not, so like for an hour, if I'm producing with my earphones on, so the next hour what I'm going to do is I'm going to produce it on my speakers, and then different things. And once I feel like I'm done with it, I just play it barely on my laptop. So it just, it shows that how versatile my music is on all different,
Yeah, yeah.
things, the
How
different
balanced it
different
is for
device,
all the
ha,
devices.
all different devices out there. So that makes clear for me when I'm doing the, when I'm finally mixing a track, because then I know, yeah, bases need to be enhanced a little bit. You know, there are a few things out there, like the drums need to be, trimmed off a little bit. The
Mhm.
percussions are too loud, shiny. I need to cut it out a little bit. So all those things I keep on doing while I'm making the track. And once I have to, I have to do the mastering of the track. That is when I, focus solely on the fundamentals.
Yeah, that sounds pretty comforting to me. That okay, fine, I answered people somewhat close to it. That's okay then.
Because that is what it is, man. All devices have different frequency and bandwidths, man. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you're hearing something on your earphones, it's not the case that it's gonna sound the same on your speakers. So, also while you're mixing, right, send it to people, okay, send it to your close ones, and just ask for their opinions, and just ask for the, like, for me now, when I send them, they're all critics. Everybody thinks that they're a music producer because they're all critics now. Earlier on, they used to be like, no, it's a very good track, all of this is very nice, you don't need to change anything. Now everybody is like, yeah, this needs to be
mm,
adjusted a little bit, because now even they understand a little. I've been doing it for a while now, so they understand. So you get, positive criticism from a lot of people, and you can't think about a lot of things because you're very sentimentally attached to every one of your tracks,
yeah.
right?
I
Correct.
mean,
So that
if
is
I
how it is.
open my folder of tracks right now, I have like what 150 FLPs. I mean, FL Studio files, which are all complete and all
Yeah,
right there. But it's just there. I'm like, I don't want to release this. Like you have not released many of your tracks. It's just there. And even if right now someone I like, I've come to India right now, and one of my cousins just asked me. I showed her the project, like how it looks when you're making a track, and then she was like, how do you remember all these things are here and there, and there's so many, like for her everything was confusing, right? It looks very messy at like when you're
correct.
looking at it. She's like, how do you remember
Correct.
this is that? So I'm like, I showed her the project time, like you can see that info, right? She saw like 32 hours spent on this project. I was like, that is why I know. And these are
You
the
know.
amount of hours I've spent on every project. So
Wow, man.
yeah, so it's like, yeah, totally, for every particular track you have got your own personalized, what do you say, a moment with that track, a feeling towards that particular project. If
Correct.
yeah, I'm coming up with my album next month as well, and in that, if I have, for example, three tracks, the mood I have with the first track will be maybe sad, but the mood I have with the third track is so happy, like as if I've never seen sadness in my life. So it's that which makes a producer, kind of up the producer, like so.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, man. I agree.
Next we have, what is this? As I vlog too, I require a lot of music, etc. And we all know that music changes the entire cinema. So basically, what
Correct.
should we keep in our mind while selecting our music for having cinematic
As
shots in storytelling?
in storytelling, so first of all, if you're doing a storytelling thing, it needs to be calm. Okay. You can't have a pop song while you're storytelling. So it needs to be very calm. Okay. Second, your tracks, this is a very, this is a study actually. So there are frequencies. There are frequencies on which you can really sleep. There are frequencies for meditation. There are frequencies for medication as well. So understand those frequencies. There are frequencies for ASMR as well. So
Mhm.
if you want a cinematic, like if what you're going is for a cinematic vibe, just decide what is it that you're looking for. Okay, if you are just saying some things, okay, or if you're just, what is that called, playback, okay, playback audio, if
Yeah.
that is what it is, and if it has a grim vibe to it, then Interstellar has a lot of those kind of
Um,
soundtracks to it, right? Then
yeah.
there are a
Yeah.
lot of there are a lot of different, actually the thing is there are a lot of sounds, okay, sound packs are there which are royalty free. So there are loops of all these things. So
Mhm.
if playback is what you want, these are royalty free tracks. You won't get a copyright at all. Okay, you can use those tracks for free, and it's like it's all there for you. It's prepared for you entirely. So say whatever you want to say, and there are a lot, because it's instrumental, right? Instrumental things, they do not have lyrics to it, so you can really just, it's very easy to manipulate those sounds and use it
Mhm.
as your own. One, even if you pitch bend it, it's still original because you did it.
Mhm.
Correct. So that is how it is. But if you specifically want to select tracks, then go with the vibe and look at movies. Movies are the best way to understand cinematics. Movies, and then there are all these videos like Animal Planet videos, Discovery videos. These guys use a lot of cinematic sounds. Then there are car companies, those montage videos. Even they use a lot of sounds
Mhm.
for cinematic shots. So listen to all of these things, whatever you like, Shazam it maybe, or just go on any, just space audios, okay, space sounds. Just search it on Google, you'll get a lot of them. That's very simple.
And like you said, these like Interstellar, for example. Let's just talk about that because I love that
Yeah.
movie. And though I've not
Hans Zimmer,
understood,
man.
yeah,
Hans
though I've not
Hans
understood the
Zimmer.
movie still, but
It's a
yeah,
lovely movie.
Hans Zimmer, I swear. And also, like people often like that. Forgot the name of the song. It just went out of my. I think it's called "Time" or something. The main
Mhm.
Interstellar theme song, which is there. So people often ask me, "Can you play that on the piano?" It's. I mean, as a producer, it's very easy to just play it on the piano or like
Correct.
even on the guitar, the chords, and
It's
it's very
just
simple.
chords.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah.
But people say, what is it that I mean? Anyone, for example, if we have a guitarist, they can easily play like just tell the basic chords of F, G, A minor, G. That's the chords for Interstellar. Let's just say on a different scale it is. But yes, now that scale can be used in many other songs. For example, it's been used in a song by forgot the name of the song. Okay, Firestone by Kygo. That also has got the same progression with a faster BPM. So what is it that makes those two songs come on a two like? What kind of element in the song makes those two different, even though their bass chords
See,
are same, the progression is same.
see. Now you said it yourself. Now keep this in the same head, right? Like those are the same chords, but the BPMs are different. So original, one thing is original. Okay.
Hmm.
Second, those transitions, right? The things that are faster, they tend to be less soothing and more hyper. Correct.
Hmm.
And cinematics and all these emotional songs, future based songs, they tend to be in lower BPM ranges. Okay. Higher BPM ranges are also there, but they need to be heavy, for heavy synths. That is why they go for higher BPM ranges to, you know, to manipulate the track in those ways.
Yeah, yeah.
But that is what it is, man. There are a lot of MIDI packs as well. So MIDIs are like chords also made for you.
Hmm.
All the chords, different progressions are made for you, and you just have to put it into a synth. Okay, a DAW, take a DAW, install a synth into it, and just drag those files. So chords are also laid out for you. It's a very simple process.
Hmm.
But how you work with those chords, that is how it is. If you directly play Kaigoga song,
So I believe this is where.
yeah.
Mhm.
See, people
No, no, go
slow
on.
down
I think my
tracks and
internet is lagging. That's.
No, bro. See, even people slow down tracks and they do not get copyrights, right? Because that is what makes it original in some ways. So, I mean, it's piracy, plagiarism in one or the other way. But yeah, you can do it, obviously.
And also, since you mentioned piracy, yes, we are in India where piracy is kind of easier than other countries. But just asking, this is for a lot of people who even ask me, do you think it's better to buy directly the original version of the DAW, for example, FL Studio, since we use that? Or should they just like work on, I mean, say, yes, on a cracked version, there are some, features that you lack, which merely make a difference. I mean, you don't really need them, you have alternatives. But do you think they
You know,
should directly purchase the original version?
this is a very controversial thing because I intend to make it big in the scene. Okay, so talking about it is obviously a very controversial topic. But see, economic, I wouldn't suggest it, but it's an economic way to do it. It's a very economic way to do it. But the thing is, yeah, piracy is a pirated items are pirated, okay, and original items are original.
Hmm.
So it's like if you have a for example, you download a synth that's pirated, that's cracked, okay. So when the newer model of the those synths come, you'll still have that one pirated thing. So understand this: if you've been a producer for 3 or 4 years, okay, so your that synth is an iPhone 6. Right now the scene is at iPhone 13. Imagine how backward it gets if you're using pirated items, cracked items.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, you're also cheating yourself. Obviously,
True.
there are new models for cracked files as well, but if you find those right files, good for you. But there are a lot of Trojan files as well that'll really ruin your PC. So I wouldn't really suggest it. I bought a MIDI keyboard, and that MIDI keyboard is what I've been using. Those plugins, those things that I got from it, they're original files. That is what I've been using for production lately. And even I had some files, but I deleted them. I didn't think it was worth it.
Okay. So,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Dean.
I
Your
mean,
internet is lagging.
am I, am I audible?
Yeah, now you're.
Yeah. So I was just, I mean, this is a question from my side. I mean, personally, right, it's been 4 to 5 years since I've been producing music. I know I'm at a stage where I didn't know how to transit between different track, like from a
Yeah.
chorus to drop, and also how to begin. Like when you sit in front of the laptop, how do you know what you should begin with? Like what to
No
use,
way.
melody or bass, or like how do you even start?
Man, it's so different, it's so different in all the tracks out there. Because what happens is sometimes I have instant image of what I want to do, and then I don't know how to do it. So I have a very good sound in my head, I have the whole track in my head, but sometimes I just cannot execute it because maybe I lack in those skills, or maybe I do not have the right sense or the sounds for it. But that is what happens. So that's frustrating. One is I think of the melody and then it turns out to be very different, or it turns out to be the better one, right? Are you still there?
Yeah, I hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, your screen froze.
Am I audible? Am I audible now?
Yeah, now you are.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. Today my Wi-Fi is acting up. I don't know why.
No problem.
But yeah, I could hear what you said. I could hear everything you said. Like I think my audio was not going that side, but yeah, I could hear everything you
Yeah,
said.
yeah, yeah. Now you and I forgot what I was
Yeah.
talking about.
No, no, we
Yeah,
are just talking
it's
about how it's different for every track where you start and
correct. So what I do, and that works out for me, is if I have something in my head, I just go with it. Okay, I just see which, like sometimes I listen to some tracks out there, and I have an idea based on their track. So what I do is I just search their BPM and the key, and I lay down the chords, and whatever I have in my mind, I just put it out there. And if I do not know what to do with it anymore, if it's just the melody that is in my head, I just save the project and I move on. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's just that I do not have those inspirations, and those I'm not in that mental state to think of a new melody, right? So that is when I go back to all these projects. So these are my
Mhm.
thoughts, like a diary, and time by time I just complete them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, like, do you know any, what do you say, music production myths you think people should not believe in? Because there are a lot of, like people say you should finish a track, you should not stick to it, you should not like move on, or else you'll miss the whole vibe towards it.
It is.
There are a lot
It
of
is.
myths out there.
Mhm. No, no, no. I mean, like it is important that you finish your tracks because it's practice at the end of the day. The more tracks you have in your hand, the more practice it takes to complete those tracks. Like you said, it's very difficult to make a drop. It's very difficult to lay down the structure. It's very difficult to mix a track. So if you're completing it, obviously you are going through the whole process. So you learn more, okay, and you explore more things, and you understand different things, different tricks. Basically, you discover different tricks on how to do the same thing in a better way, easier way, or more productive way. you know so like you have to duplicate a track. Okay, there are control options like control B. You can do it, you can copy paste it, or you can just press alter
Yeah,
and just the left mouse button. So there are different ways to do it. But people who do not practice, what they'll do is they'll right click, they'll copy the track, then they'll go and paste the track. All of these things, and these are redundant things. So the more you practice, the more you understand the DAW and your music skills. It's very important to complete tracks. But if like if after some time, see, this is what happens. Because I have so many tracks, because the tracks that I made earlier, I do not like them anymore because I can produce better tracks now. So those tracks are like my journey. They are just for me now. So
it's
this
like,
album, yeah. So it's like now my album, I'm putting the best things out there.
mm,
All the things, these 2 years I've made like two tracks, and only two tracks are out there. So quality over quantity,
yeah, yeah.
right? So now 7 tracks, 35 minutes of runtime, best things out there, man. Best things for everybody. Because then later on, the thing is, these are out there, and once you put it out there, you have to live with it. In sense, like if you like, everybody wants to make it big. So imagine the tracks that you are making right now. 3 years later, will you still vibe to it? If you would not, then how do you expect it to be a better track? You know the
True.
tracks that I'm making right now, the tracks that I'm making, working on right now, these are bangers, man. Like I'm so confident that 5 years later, 10 years later, these are gonna be golden.
I
That is how
hope,
it is.
I really hope those happen.
Yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
uh,
Even if it doesn't, right? Even if it doesn't happen that way, at least I'll be happy because I'll vibe to it. If nobody does, it's for me. I made it. I'll vibe to it.
and I'm going to be taking last question from the chat over here. Can you speak something about, no, something with lo-fi mixture, as it's currently trending a lot more in the Indian music market?
So I'll tell you what. Okay, you play the track that I made for all of you guys. Okay,
Okay.
I just made it to explain the participants. So this track is basically, it's not a you know remix and the entirety of it. This is like more focused on structure. If you're if you're a producer, your job is to produce, right?
Yeah.
So vocals are just cherry on top. Vocals just make the sound more prominent. But your job as a producer is to make those instruments, those beats, and all of it be a separate thing as well. So one half of the track is the remix, and the other half is purely instrumental, purely a beat. So that is how it is. So even lo-fi is the same thing. I've used sounds in that track that you will understand. And lo-fi is just a genre, man. If you want to work, it's booming right now because people have been listening to it. As in,
Sleep playlist,
it's
study
it's it's it's
playlist.
it's it's getting mainstream. It's getting mainstream these
Yeah.
days. Early on 2019, I remember hybrid trap was the thing. Hybrid trap. Everybody was before that. Hardwell, and all these people. Now
Yeah,
hybrid trap, Excision, Virtual Riot was the scene in 2019. Then Indian hip hop mein, now earlier on Ritwis and all was happening. Now Indian hip hop is booming, right?
true.
So lo-fi is also coming up in the scene. It has been there for a while now. Like lo-fi. There is jazz lo-fi as well. These are so
Mhm.
old. They are just coming. They're just getting mainstream nowadays, and more people are getting attracted to it because you know it,
It's
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 appealing
mostly
actually.
it's mostly like, I mean, music is an art, obviously, but everything has its own duration of its own trend, I believe. So, like, there was a phase of Martin Garrix and all, Animals and all these, and then later on, like people change their music choices like year by year, and the music market is growing like really crazily. And even with COVID, artists did not go on live performances, so they got time to like work on more genres, more ideas, more production albums. So I mean, all I can say is that, like, adding to you, I would just say that knowing a particular genre is nothing bad. It's not like you don't know every genre. Like, even if you don't know the concept of all the
Yeah,
other genres, if you are focused in one genre, I think that will make you, uh,
you don't.
like, it's
It
good if you
doesn't
know
even
what
have
genre.
to be like that, man. It doesn't because
Okay.
Kaigo made tropical house. Okay, Kaigo is
Yeah.
literally like one of the founding fathers of tropical house. He got into it. Tiesto, David Guetta, Stevie Aoki is what made electronic mainstream. These are underground things. Okay, lo-fi mein, now you're listen to Ford. Okay, if you are into lo-fi, listen to
Yeah.
Ford. That guy has been killing it in the scene, man. That guy has been so consistent with it, and he's changing it. Now, experimental, we talk about Flume. There are names out there, man. Flume, hybrid rap, dubstep, virtual riot is killing it.
Mhm.
Indian pop, Ritwis is killing it. Nuclei is killing it. Karan Kanchan has been killing it. So just decide what you like. Even if it's not one of, see, if you like lo-fi, but you also want to introduce Brazilian bass into it. It's not a specific genre, but if you can do it, do it. Obviously, there is, as you said, there are no rules to it. So whatever you want to mix different tracks together, different genres together. You have all the permissions, man. Like there are no rules to it anyway. So just go with it, man. I think you're stuck again. Hello.
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, now you.
Yeah. So yeah, that answers the question perfectly. And before we play the track and then come to the conclusion of the session, I would just like to ask this question, final question: that is it important to know how to? Is it important to know the music theory if you want to get into music production? Which I obviously know the answer to, but I would like to hear it from you.
It's relative, actually. Early on, it used to be the case because you needed to know because things weren't so accessible to you. So you needed
Mhm.
to know a lot of things. Right now, I do not know how to do a lot of things, but I still do that. Okay, um, I have violin chops. Okay, I have vocal chops. I have so many different things. Okay, I don't even know what is there in a violin. What this thing is called. Nothing I know.
True.
But I have like a orchestral thing going on. No, all the things are out there, man. So like, it's obviously a plus point because, as I said, things get easier when you know the basics.
Yeah, yeah.
Things really, I know how to play guitar. I've been learning how to play the keyboard. I know drums. So it gets really easy for me to have that workflow. Okay, I can explain myself better. I can, just by listening to it, sometimes the chords I don't even need to search. Sometimes just, it's just there in my head, like this
Mhm.
is C. This is obviously C. It can't be anything else. This just sound like C. No. So knowing the traditional.
Producing music, your ears get trained in a way. Like you can just
True.
recognize it.
Just like any other thing. Yeah. If you are a guitarist, you play, you get better at it, and at some point you just start recognizing a lot of things. You can
True.
recognize if a guy is playing a solo, you can recognize which scale is he playing it on just
True.
by hearing it. Charlie Puth does it.
Yeah, I've seen even on his Instagram. I think he's like one of those few artists who actually keeps sharing his breakdown of his tracks like frequently
He,
and the way he works on it.
Billie Eilish's brother Phineas, mad producer, man.
I saw
Charlie
it.
Puth, mad producer. What a guy! Like I watch a lot of these videos, man. These guys
Mhm.
talking, and these guys are really talented. These guys are really talented. And if you are a singer, okay, if you're a singer, knowing how the things works is the plus point. It's
True.
the best if you are a singer and you know how to produce music, because you have so many options ready for you then. you
You
know
have everything. All you need is a laptop and a microphone, and you're done.
exactly. Singers, I think that they really should learn.
Yeah.
It should be a fundamental for them to learn music productions, because then even they can produce, and they can explain their
True.
producers what do they want in a track, and that just makes the workflow very easy for everybody.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what you said is right, and even in one of my tracks, which will be the part of the album, I played it to my mom because since the album is in Hindi and it's my first time coming into this genre, indie pop, and the track was ready, and I just played it to my mom, and I did not tell her I made it, and I mixed it, mastered it, and I played it to my parents, and they were like, "ये कौन सा band है?" And the moment they said that, I did not become like disappointed that they did not say, "Did you make it?" I became happy that they think that it's a track made by a band. It's that good.
Mhm.
So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I got satisfied at that moment, and they were like, "It sounds good." Which band? I was like, I don't know which band. I've still not told my parents about it,
That's
the whole
cool,
album.
man. That's so cool.
So yeah, I hope they're not streaming, because if they're streaming, then they know it. Oh no, I forgot. Okay. So, anyways, and in that track, there's violin, there's electric guitar, there is drums, acoustic drums, and well pan. And honestly, guys, whoever's streaming right now, I mean, obviously, if you know more instruments, that's good. Music theory, that's good. But I'm just saying it's not a necessity to know all the instruments or like full music theory to make music, because even today, if I play a chord on piano, I don't know what chord it is. I have to turn on the accompany and have to see which chord I'm playing. And like people who have worked with me know that I don't know what are chords. I don't know what is scale. I listen, I play, my fingers just move on the piano. That's just the practice you have. So it's the experience that speaks over there. So
True.
that answers all the questions here. And to come to the end, let's have the track. Shivesh,
Yeah.
can you just stream the track Ishan has made?
It's okay. If it doesn't sound good to you, just let me know. Okay. If there's something that there would be some improvements, will just let me know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we have that. I'll mute myself.
Na na na. Before I'm someone you leave behind, I'll break your heart so you don't break.
No, I don't think so. It is.
Before I love you, na na na, I'm gonna leave you, na na
No, I
na.
don't. I don't think
Before
it's audible yet. Try opening the file with VLC Media because that mostly works.
I'm someone you leave behind, I'll break your heart so you don't break mine. Before I love you, na na na, I'm gonna leave
No,
you,
it's not
na.
audible here. Shivesh, if possible, if you have a speaker or something, just connect to that and we can hear it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'll just check on the stream if it's audible.
Before I love you, na na gonna leave you, na na na. Before I'm someone you leave behind, I'll break your heart so you don't break mine. Before I love you, na na na. I'm gonna leave you, na na na. Even if I'm not here to stay, I still want your heart.
Yeah, it's audible.
You have for takeaway, yeah, 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 yeah. You have for takeaway, yeah, 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 yeah. You have for takeaway, yeah, yeah, yeah. You have for takeaway, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, 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 where do you think you're going? It's so late, late, late. What's wrong? I said I can't stay. Do I have to give a reason? It's just me, it's what I want. So how do we get here? 3 weeks now we've been so caught up. Better if we do this on our own. Before I love you, na na na. I'm gonna leave you, na na na. Before I'm someone you leave behind, I'll break your heart so you don't break mine. Before I love you, na na na. I'm gonna leave you, na na na. Even if I'm not here to stay, I still want your heart.
Can you hear the bass? I couldn't hear the bass, man. The bass line and
No,
the.
I could hear it on my laptop, the bass. I think because on YouTube stream, it's the whole quality is being streamed. So I just opened the stream side by side and I was listening to it. So
Because
I
I
mean,
couldn't hear anything, all the elements they got vanished. Like the
yeah,
bass
we
line.
couldn't hear it on the Meet over here. But if
Oh,
you
okay, okay.
stream it on the YouTube, all the audio was going to YouTube stream. So I could
Lovely,
hear it
lovely,
over.
lovely.
I opened that side by side.
Oh, oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, lovely.
Wait, let me just mute the stream. Yeah. I mean, I obviously it would have been better if I was wearing headphones, but on the laptop speakers, it sounded amazing. Like it was well mixed. Well, I really need to learn how to mix more better. So mix was
It's all
amazing,
there, man.
and it was soothing actually. I
If,
mean,
if
guys, if you have heard the real version of the song, it's called uh, what was that? Takeaway
Takeaway,
by Chainsmokers and
Chainsmokers.
Illenium. Illenium, I worship Illenium for future bass. But yeah,
Mhm.
the track, what it's there, it's like emotional, but it gets energetic in the drop. And what Eshaan has done with it is totally reversed it in such a amazing way. It became soothing now. It's like just
True,
vibe
because
with it.
yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to make a drop. I just wanted to explain that structure is so important.
Mhm.
Structuring a track is very important because that is what creates the whole vibe. No,
True.
that's what it is.
So
And
I mean, that track was amazingly like. So this is what I
you
mean.
should.
Right now, I'm the listener of that track, the track which you sent us. Now we are the listeners of that track. Myself being a producer, also, I mean, it's true that when you're a producer, you don't listen to a track as a track. You just concentrate. Your ears automatically goes towards the elements, the all the specifics of it, the
True,
pounding and
true.
all. But since it was on this call, I could totally listen to it as a track, and it was like if I was a normal listener listening to a track for the first time, not knowing it was made by you, I would have been like, "This is really cool. Who's the artist? I would like to know who the artist was." So that is
Thank you
when
so
you know
much,
the
man.
track is good. That is when you know, okay, you're doing like the right thing with your right track. So yeah, it was really good.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So I would just like to ask before we end up, can
Yeah.
you say how long you took to make this track? I mean, obviously it was not much because you got the
Uh,
artist all late, but how much time did you dedicate towards this so that the streamers know that like how
I honestly like what 50 minutes, an hour, maybe 50 minutes is what I took. It's not much to the track. It's just structure,
Yeah.
right? This is structure. I just added not a lot of elements. I added so 808s. I added a few layers of pads. I added pianos. I added percussions. I added some ambience to it, and then the vocals were already there. Some FXs as well, and then these tracks now, like these, even you understand that as you build, it keeps on getting more and more and more.
True.
There are so many things that you need to focus on because they have to sound, a single piece of art.
Every different thing should sound
Yeah,
different and not
yeah,
same
yeah,
at the
yeah,
like.
yeah.
I don't know
Correct.
how to say it in words, but yeah.
Yeah. So like this wasn't much. This wasn't much, but because there was no ad libs to it, the
Yeah.
vocals were already processed. The acapella was already processed, so I didn't have to process it again and again. I just added a few effects to it, convolver, delay, and all those few basic things, and parametric
Yeah.
EQ to all the things. So these are very basics. And I also wanted to tell that if you are a new producer and you really want to learn, there's this channel on YouTube, In the Mix. Okay, search it. It has a lot of informative videos. Even you, if you want to learn mixing, if you want to actually organization of your FL Studio, like
Yeah.
templates and all, if you want to do that, if you want to learn how to use reverb, how informative videos on FL Studio. In the Mix, lovely channel, a very very decent producer.
I mean, yes, guys. In the Mix is my what do you say online guru for music production.
Right.
If I have any problem, I'll just search In the Mix and this problem, and I'm totally like sure that he'll have a solution or a playlist, and he definitely has that.
True.
And he's so humble and modest that he'll even recommend other channels in his descriptions. He's like, if you want more in depth, I'll make a video later, but for now, refer this guy. And that video description, like mentioned in the description, will be so accurate and so detailed. I mean, he's
True.
amazing, and he explains it not only like
True.
he
It's a
does not
good.
have this thing. Yeah, he's not like I have a studio, so you need to have a studio. He'll give you alternate solutions for alternate plugins or alternate devices, and it's perfect. Like just go with In the Mix. I'm telling you, he's the best teacher you'll get out there.
True.
So that rounds up the whole interview, and it was great having you. And I mean,
Thank you so much,
we are
man.
sure we got to know your story towards this music making, and we are eagerly going to be waiting for your album, which I'm sure is going to be. I'm not even going to give an adjective to it. Now. You want to know how the tracks are going to be? You gotta wait for it.
True,
You
true,
gotta
true.
wait for your
100%.
new year
100%.
to become a banger. I can
100%.
just say that
100%.
your new year is going to become amazing.
Yeah, man.
So
Thank you so much for having me, man. In the whole event, the whole process, it was a learning experience for me as well. Seeing different people. There is one thing that you make something, and then there's, you know, if you have to, judge it, it's a different thing because even I produce and I can see like, yeah, this guy's doing this, he's trying to do this. It's a difficult job as well. So it was a very good learning experience for me. Filtering out things is also a good thing to learn. That
true.
trains you in a lot of things. So thank you for having me, man. It was a great event, and I really, congrats to the winner. I know who the winner is, and also to all the participants, man. You've got mad talent in you guys, and just put hours into it, man. Just put some hours into it, and you'll make bangers out there. You'll
And
put bangers
and
out there,
guys,
man, for sure.
I'm adding to you, Eshaan told like congrats to the winner. But I'm going to say that even who are not on the first place, you guys later in your life at some point in music production, you'll be like, thank God I did not win that, or else I would have been satisfied and I would have stopped focusing on some fields. But later on, you'll be like, okay, because of that, I started focusing on this field and now I'm good at it. So technically, you
That's true.
other
That's true.
guys are actually the winner.
Then don't
You
be
are-
disheartened. Yeah, that is what it
yeah.
is, man. I've because
I have been rejected multiple times. I've been criticized multiple times for. I mean, if you look at my YouTube channel, guys, just look at the growth of quality. At my first track, you'll be like, really, he used to make this track, and I'm proud of it. I'm not even removed it from YouTube because I want to know where I've come. I want to know the roots. Like this is where I was. Every time I look at my YouTube channel, I'm like, wow, I have made a progress till here, and I can still make double the progress in the few coming. That's the motivation motivation you get, So just accept the criticism in the best way possible. Will it take the music knowledge with you? No, you can still make music. They can't make music, you make
100%.
music, right? So you should be proud of yourself. So just keep making
100%.
music, manage your life, and don't be like, I mean, yes, you have got other things to do in life. So because of that, don't think music is taking away your time. Time management is very important in such a thing, especially if you're a college student. So that is what I would say. And I've known Eshaan. I mean, we met. We were like online friends. COVID has
Yeah.
got us a lot of online friends, and that is how we like got to know about each other's music, and that is how you make producer friends. Like right now, I'm really lucky to have him, because he's a good friend, but he's also a producer, and that is very rare to find. Other friends, if you show a track to them, they'll be like, "Ah, it's good," and they'll just tell good because you're a friend. But he's a producer. You're like, "Bro, it's good, but do this," and I'll accept that because I needed that. But this, that is what I'm looking for. So that is
True.
important. So I mean, we are super happy to have you, and yes, we are waiting for your album, and let's just see
Thank
what
you so much,
happens.
man.
And
Yeah, yeah,
I
for
wish
sure,
you
for
all
sure. I
the
love it.
best. It was great to have you. We are going
Thank
to
you so
end the
much,
meet
man.
now, and we'll keep in touch.
See ya, buddy. See ya. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.
पीछे पीछे आंदा मेरे चल बनाई पीछे पीछे आंदा मेरा चल बनाई तेरा वालियां ने वेखदा